What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. The 2024 college football season is finally over. It was a long one. The long season is finally over after the 12-team playoff era began, but it's time now to look ahead to 2025. And we're going to start things off with a way too early top 25 rankings for the upcoming 2025 college football season. And when I say way too early, I mean it. This is a way too early top 25. It's way too early to kind of be doing this kind of video. We don't really know what the rosters look like. We also don't know who's coming back and also the NFL draft decisions. Players still have to make those decisions. And then the transfer portal obviously is a crazy thing. And then you got the recruiting classes coming in as well. And my thoughts about the national championship. First off, Ohio State, congratulations to the Buckeyes after winning their 7th national championship in program history. And then also, for the first time in 10 years, Ohio State's been through a lot after, winning the national title game in the first ever playoff, era kind of game. So yeah, congratulations to Ohio State. They were definitely the better team from last night. But Notre Dame, kind of give them credit, for coming back a little bit in that game, kind of making, the scoreboard a little bit close at the end of the game. But Ohio State wins the national championship, so 2024 is now over. Let's go ahead and get started here with my way too early top 25 rankings. And this is not going to be an accurate top 25. Let's just say that right now. Nobody's going to have an accurate top 25 to begin the 2025 offseason. And again, this is way too early for a reason. So we'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So we'll start here with my rankings from 21 through 25. I got Baylor at number 25, Ole Miss at number 24, Miami at 23, Texas A&M at 22, and then Michigan at 21. So I had a really tough time with that 25 spot. Baylor was the team that I decided to go with here in my voting. Baylor's got a pretty good, decent amount of production coming back for next season. They do return their starting quarterback. And it kind of came down to like 3 teams. UNLV has Dan Mullen coming over as the head coach, but I don't really want to kind of hype up UNLV too much just because they lost their head coach going to Purdue and everything. And then also, you had Syracuse that finished pretty strong last year, but I decided to go with Baylor. Baylor is a team that I think could be a contender in the Big 12. Again, this team does have a lot of production coming back for next season, including their starting quarterback. For Ole Miss at number 24, Jackson Dart, of course, going to be gone. They're going to also lose Jordan Watkins at receiver, Trey Harris, Antoine Wells Jr. as well. So they're going to lose plenty of depth there on the offense, especially at wide receiver. But on defense, they also lose plenty of production there. The defense did improve a lot from last year, but as Lane Kiffin always does, he does recruit in the transfer portal, so they're going to bring in some really good depth there at the transfer portal spot. Austin Simmons looking like he's going to be the starting quarterback for next year. We'll see how that goes for Ole Miss. I'm not really concerned about the offense. I think they'll bring in plenty of depth from the transfer portal on that side of the football. The defense, they also got to recruit from there. So yeah, Ole Miss here at number 25. Just some question marks for right now, but I think this team will probably end up being in the top 15 for me once we get into the preseason. Miami at number 23. Cam Ward is gone to the NFL, so that'll be a huge loss there for Miami, but they got Carson Beck coming over, the transfer from Georgia. You bring in some other transfers as well. Mario Cristobal does a pretty nice job in the transfer portal on both sides of the football. I think Miami needs to improve their defense. They have to get plenty of depth there on the defensive side of the football. That's the main course I think that Miami needs to focus on next year. And then also the offense, the quarterback position. Again, you think it's kind of a big concern, but I think Carson Beck will be solid for them. I don't think he's going to be really great for them like Cam Ward was, but I think he can develop there on the offense. So Carson Beck coming over, the transfer quarterback from Georgia. We'll see how that plays out. Texas A&M at 22. Pretty good season for Texas A&M and Mike Elko's first year. Marcel Reed will be back at quarterback. They also return Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens, 2 really good running back duos there. And overall, this team does have plenty of talent. I think they'll be really right there as an SEC contender next year, so watch out for Texas A&M. And then Michigan at number 21. This team finished the season pretty well from last year. I do expect Michigan to be back to where they used to be under Jim Harbaugh. The offense may not be very explosive like it was, but this is a team that is really physical at running the football. The defense overall should be pretty well experienced, this year. I think this was kind of a young Michigan team from last year, and then also they can develop the quarterback position. This team can definitely be a dangerous team in the Big Ten for next year. And the thing about this Michigan team is they are physical. Again, they beat Ohio State for the 4th consecutive year in a row. Can they do that for the 5th consecutive year in a row coming up in 2025? We'll wait and see. But these are my rankings here from 21 through 25. Let's now move on from 16 through 20. I got Louisville at number 20, Tennessee at number 19, Florida at 18, Indiana at 17, and then Kansas State at 16. So Louisville, they're going to lose plenty of, guys from the transfer portal from last year, but they'll bring in new additions from the transfer portal like they always do every year. And I think the big key piece in the transfer portal that they brought in is Miller Moss at quarterback. Miller Moss, the transfer from USC. We've seen his experience at USC for the last couple years from that bowl game and then his first full-time year as a starter. I mean, he kind of struggled, but I think he's going to I think he's going to fit well into this system here for Louisville. I think he'll be decent. I think he'll also be pretty solid. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but we'll see just how good he is for this Louisville team. Tennessee at number 19. I know a lot of people are going to say Tennessee should be ranked a little bit higher. I get it. Tennessee is a team that maybe was a little bit overrated last year just based off of how they played in a lot of these tough games, and the offense was inconsistent up and down at times. But I had a really tough time with Tennessee. I don't know where to put them just yet, but Nico Amaliava is coming back for his 2nd year as a starter. They're going to lose plenty of depth, though, at the offensive side of the football. They're going to lose Dylan Sampson, James Pierce on the defensive side of the football. They're going to lose Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, and Dante Thornton Jr. Those are really good players at the receiver position, so they definitely had to pick up some key pieces in the transfer portal at the wide receiver position. So that's kind of what I'm concerned with for Tennessee is the receiving corp, and then also the offensive line. Cooper Mays is gone as well. So yeah, Tennessee I do have a lot of concerns with. That's why I had them here in the 16 through 20 range. Florida at number 18, a lot of hype for this team next year. DJ Lagway is back at quarterback. That's pretty much the main reason why I have Florida here inside the top 20. I know a lot of people are kind of picking them to be a top 10 team already. I don't want to really go that far with Florida just yet. I'll have to wait and see what the offseason looks like. And when we get to the spring, I might put Florida in the top 15, to be honest. I don't really want to go that far and put them in the top 5 and also the top 10. I think Florida's going to be pretty good next year, but, DJ Lagway with all the hype in there, I just think that makes Florida a little bit overrated, but I think Florida as of right now is going to be a pretty good team next year, and that's the reason why I got them here in this way too early top 25. Indiana at 17. They lose a lot of players this year, but they also got plenty of guys coming over from the transfer portal. Kirk Zanetti knows how to get it done. You're going to lose Curtis Work at quarterback. That'll be a huge loss for them, but I think they have a transfer quarterback coming in from Cal, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Indiana should overall be pretty much fine. This is a well-coached team. Kansas State at 16, same thing like Indiana. They're a well-coached team. Avery Johnson will be back at quarterback. That's the main reason why Kansas State is here at 16. So these are my rankings here from 16 through 20. Let's now move on through 11 through 15. I got SMU at number 15, Arizona State at 14, Illinois at 13, Alabama at 12, and then Iowa State here at 11. So SMU, Kevin Jennings is back at quarterback. That's definitely huge for this team. You kind of need a quarterback that can really develop some experience there for this SMU football team. SMU was pretty good last year. They'll lose some key pieces, but I think overall this team will be pretty much fine, especially on the offensive side of the football with Kevin Jennings coming back. Arizona State at number 14. They finished the season really well from last year. Cam Skattebo, of course, going to be gone. That's going to be a huge loss here for the Sun Devils. Arizona State, though, is a well-coached team. Just like Kansas State and Indiana, Kenny Dillingham's going to recruit some players in the transfer portal, and he's going to continue to do a really good job for this Arizona State team. But as of right now, with the losses that they have coming, for next year, Arizona State might be just that second-best team in the Big 12. I'll talk about that top team here in just a moment, but the Sun Devils here at number 14, Illinois at number 13. Illinois, kind of hard to tell how good this team is going to be, but the way they finished the season last year, they definitely deserve to be in the top 15 in my opinion. I think they also have their starting quarterback coming back for next year, so I think that's good news there for you're an Illinois fan. Alabama at number 12. A lot of question marks about Alabama, especially on the offensive side of the football. Jalen Milroe is gone at quarterback. They're also going to lose, they're actually going to return Jim Miller at running back. I think that'll be a huge, key factor at running the football there for the Crimson Tide. Ryan Williams is returning. Jermaine Bernard back at receiver as well. So you got a couple of receivers that could be big factors. But yeah, they're going to lose plenty of guys on that offensive side of the football. But, they'll still have plenty of talent. We know about this Alabama team every year. They reload in the transfer portal or either in the recruiting class. They got a pretty good recruiting class coming up in 2025. So, yeah, losing Jalen Milroe is really definitely a big key factor here for Alabama. They got to go with a quarterback here that's going to have to develop right away. It could be Ty Simpson, or maybe Alabama picks up a guy from the transfer portal. We'll see how that plays out. But Alabama here at number 12. Can they improve in Kalen DeBoer's second year? And if they don't improve, then maybe Kalen DeBoer is not the right guy here for the Crimson Tide. And then Iowa State at number 11. This team has a lot of production coming back. They do return their starting quarterback. This is a really well-coached team, just like Arizona State, Indiana, and Kansas State. So I think Iowa State might be that second-best team in the Big 12 next year. Let's now go from 6 through 10. And South Carolina at number 10, BYU at number 9, LSU at number 8, Clemson at 7, and then Notre Dame at number 6. So I know a lot of people are going to say, why you got South Carolina here at number 10? Well, look, South Carolina did finish the season pretty strong last year, but this team does have a really good amount of production coming back on offense. They got Nelore Sellers coming back at quarterback. That's pretty much the main reason why I got South Carolina here at number 10. I know they do lose a lot on the defensive side of the football, but this is a way too early top 25. This is based off of how the teams finished from last year. And again, we're not really looking at the spring right now. We're just looking way ahead to 2025, just see who is coming back. And Lenore Sellers really developed not just as a thrower, as a quarterback, thrower in the pocket. He also developed as a running quarterback as well. So he might be one of those quarterbacks that could develop in 2025. We'll just have to wait and see. But South Carolina here at number 10. A lot of hype around this team, including myself. I'm not really going to go that far and say they're going to win the SEC. South Carolina definitely still not on the level of those really talented teams in the SEC. BYU at number 9. I know a lot of people are going to say, why you have BYU this high? Well, I think BYU might be the favorite in the Big 12 next year, just as of right now. They got plenty of guys coming back on offense. You do return Jake Ratliff at quarterback. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. You also got your returning running back coming back. You also got plenty of receivers coming back as well. They do lose plenty on the defensive side of the football, but they do lose they don't really lose a whole lot on the offense. So I am concerned about the defense for BYU, but I do have a feeling that they're going to recruit in the transfer portal as well. Just have to wait and see, because a lot of these teams in the top 25, they have to recruit in the transfer portal in order to kind of have that really successful off season. And then once they get on the field, we'll just have to wait and see how good that team really is. LSU at number 8. Garrett Nussmeier returns at quarterback. That's mainly the reason why they are in the top 10. And also, they have developed some players in the transfer portal. They got a lot of guys coming in from the transfer portal that are very talented. Harold Perkins will be back. He's coming back after that torn ACL from last year. If he's back fully 100%, then this LSU defense they become really good on the defensive side of the football next year. And with Garrett Nussmeier with a year under his belt, I think LSU could be a very dangerous team. I know LSU has struggled in, the last few years, but I think LSU definitely has plenty of talent to develop there. And again, with all the additions in the transfer portal they have coming in, that's mainly the reason why I think LSU could be a top 10 team next year. Clemson at number 7, they're finally using the transfer portal as well. That's really good news there if you're a Clemson fan. They added some pieces in the transfer portal at the wide receiver position. That's definitely the main focus. And then also, Cade Klubnik coming back at quarterback is also the main reason why Clemson is in the top 10 here. And they also bring in Tom Allen, the defensive coordinator from Penn State. So yeah, Clemson on both sides of the football very well could be dangerous, and they might be the favorite in the ACC as of right now. And then Notre Dame at number 6, definitely not going to be the same team as they were from last year. Ryan Leonard, of course, going to be gone to the NFL. That'll be a huge loss here for this team. But you got Jeremiah Love coming back at running back, and also Jadarian Price, both of those guys at the, actually Jadarian Price and Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse, though those guys will be back at receiver. But they also got to, get more receivers in the transfer portal in order to have that kind of depth at wide receiver. But yeah, plenty of production coming back from Notre Dame. Just definitely not going to be the same team as they were from last year. Let's now get into my top 5 here. So I got Oregon at number 5, Georgia at 4, Ohio State at 3, and then Penn State at 2, and then Texas at 1. So yeah, Oregon here at number 5. Losing Dylan Gabriel, of course, going to be huge for this team, but they bring in a transfer quarterback here from the transfer portal. They're going to bring in Dante Moore, the transfer from UCLA. That'll be very interesting. We'll see how well he can develop there on the offensive side of the football for Oregon. Georgia at number 4. It looks like it's going to be Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback of the future here for the Bulldogs, because Carson back into the transfer portal. But you never know. Georgia might go with a different kind of quarterback, and they might recruit him in the transfer portal. But also, Georgia every year, they do lose plenty of talent going to the NFL, but they just reload every year. They do bring in a really good recruiting class every year, and they just have plenty of depth on this roster. Now, I think it's going to come down to the offense, though, because the offense looked good at times and then, of course, bad at times last season. But yeah, Georgia might probably be the second best team in the SEC as of right now. Ohio State at number 3. Definitely going to lose plenty of, depth from last year's team that just won the national championship. Will Howard, of course, going to be gone. Quayshawn Judkins has not made a decision yet. We'll see what kind of decision he makes. If he does return at running back, I think Ohio State definitely will be really good at running the football. But that offensive line definitely could be a little bit concerned. Defense also a little bit concerned. But just like Georgia, they can reload every single year. And this offense and defense are really just both good on the offensive side of the football and defense. But also, if Ohio State can just develop at the quarterback position, if they can find a guy that can come from the transfer portal, then Ohio State becomes a very dangerous team next year as well. Penn State, though, at number 2. I know a lot of people are going to say they should be behind Ohio State, but you look at what Penn State's got coming back. Nicholas Singleton is coming back at running back. They also returned Kadron Allen. Those two guys ran for over 1,000 yards last season. And he also got Drew Aller coming back at quarterback. So yeah, this offense, if they can recruit some players in the transfer portal, especially at wide receiver, you lose Tyler Warren at tight end, but I think Penn State can develop some wide receivers. They've already done that so far in the offseason. If they can bring those key pieces from the transfer portal, especially at wide receiver, then yeah, this Penn State team becomes really dangerous at the offensive side of the football. The defense, Abdul Carter is going to be gone. That'll be a huge loss there, but I think they'll develop some key pieces in the transfer portal as well. And then Texas at number 1, the Arch Manning era begins in 2025. A lot of hype around this Texas team. And they also got the number 1 ranked recruiting class. That's the reason why I put Texas here at number 1. I just feel like this team will be a little bit dangerous. And I know a lot of people are saying Arch Manning is a lot better than Quinn Ewers, but I'm telling you, Quinn Ewers will be missed. He looked good at times and then bad at times, but he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks that Texas had in recent years. But now Arch Manning, it's his time. We'll see how he develops here, and we'll see how much he can live up to that hype. I mean, the hype could be probably getting to him, but we'll see what he does in 2025. We've seen a few games this year in 2024 to kind of see him how good he is. We know that he's a really good runner. We'll just have to see how he develops in the passing game as well. But yeah, that's the reason why Texas is at number one, just because of their recruiting class and then also the hype around Arch Manning. So that is my official way too early top 25 for 2020, for the upcoming 2025 college football season. Again, this is way too early to be kind of doing this video. Again, this is not an accurate top 25. And again, I don't feel really confident with this top 25 either. But let me guys know what you think about my way too early top 25 down in the comments below, and give me your way too early top 25 as well. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports YouTube channel.